Hello everyone, this video may be a little longer because I'm finally going to tell Quintelle's new backstory. Now, I was originally going to do an AMV of it, but I've decided that that's going to take way too long and I'm way too excited to tell you guys about the new story I made for her. If you're going to ask why I changed backstory, there was nothing wrong with the old one, except for Shadow had changed her backstory recently. So I decided that if I kept going with the same old one she had, it wouldn't really fit anymore. And I found a more better way for her to die. Yes. Now, here we go. So Quintelle is like with her family. Uh she has two a sister and a brother and her mom. The three of them were killed by another pack of wolves. She was scared, so she ran off. That's where she met Shadow as a kid. And as a kid, her and Shadow grew up. But again, Shadow's mother didn't really attach to Quintelle like a daughter. And I'm guessing because she didn't really, in my perspective, Shadow's mom didn't really like her that much. She didn't think of her as a daughter, but more like a trainer, like a trainee, like someone she could train become like, strong. Except for Shadow and Quintelle, they were really good friends when they were younger. And the two of them did mostly everything together. Growing up, so basically the whole backstory from the start is the same. But now let me speak about things that are different. Yes, Quintelle is still jealous of Mysterio because she still fell in love with Shadow, and her feelings for her were really strong. But here's where I changed the backstory. So, during a day, Quintelle decides in the middle of the night that she cannot take it anymore. That she needs to kill Mysterio and get him out of the way because he's ruining her chance to be with Shadow. So, here's her plan. She lures Shadow Mysterio out in the middle of the night, telling him that there was something happening that he needed to see. Mysterio goes along with it and he follows her. In the middle of the night, she ambushes him because she picks up a rock in her jaws and she throws it at him. The rock hits him in the eye, which causes his eye to bleed, and he falls. He doesn't get blinded by this, but almost does. Now, Quintelle finds this as a perfect way to kill him and blame it on a snake. So what she does is as soon as she's about to claw his neck, Shadow comes out of nowhere and she attacks Quintelle. And she then screams at Quintelle, telling her that she's a traitor and that everything she's doing is wrong. And then Quintelle ends up telling her that how she felt. She keeps telling her how she fell in love with Shadow. She told her about how she wanted to start a family with Shadow and rule all the lands with her and just be by her side at all times, right? Shadow, on the other hand, did not like this at all, and she told Quintelle straight up to her face that she did not have feelings for her. Now, this broke Quintelle because Quintelle gave up everything. Quintelle had nothing. She didn't have a family. Shadow was all she had left, and now to hear from her loved one that they didn't feel the same way back, that really, really broke Quintelle. And Quintelle ended up being exiled by Shadow because Shadow was raged because she almost killed Mysterio, and she's in love with Mysterio. So Quintelle runs off in the middle of the night because she's exiled, and she's outraged. She's sad, she cries, she's devastated, but she's also really mad. And then while a few months being a loner, she realizes that she doesn't need Shadow. She loves Shadow, and she thinks, but she's slowly losing her mind. She's going insane, basically. She's not herself anymore. She realizes the only way to make Shadow love her is to kill her. You heard me right. She wants to kill Shadow so Shadow can fall in love with her. She's crazy, so she's just thinking this. One day, she sees Shadow at nighttime by the river by herself, and she finds this as a perfect opportunity to kill her. So I am making this a map, by the way, in the future. She approaches Shadow from behind, and Shadow is surprised. And Shadow then tells her, "What are you doing here? You're not supposed to be here anymore. You were told to leave." Quintelle, on the other hand, disagrees with her, and she says, "I can't leave the one I left behind now, can I?" Now, this really gets Shadow angry because Shadow tells her that I already told you I don't love you, and this is really ridiculous. Quintelle, on the other hand, she fools her and leaps on Shadow, pinning her to the ground, and she tells Shadow about how she ruined everything for them. That she tells Shadow that They could have had a family. They could have been better. They could have ruled everything that they have always dreamed of. They could have been the best evil villains in the whole world. Shadow, on the other hand, disagreed with her and said that it was never going to happen in the first place, that they were nothing more than friends. Quintelle, on the other hand, thinks that killing her is the only way to make her realize what the pain that she caused her. So, she does fight Shadow, and she's a little she's strong like Shadow too, because Shadow kind of trained her when they were pups, so they basically know like each other, like how to fight. Anyways, the two fight it out, and Shadow was actually really weak at this point because Quintelle's learned a few things. Like as she was a learner, she learned a few fighting moves because she's always been waiting for this day. Right when she pins Shadow, ready to kill her, Shadow thinks of a way that she saw her mother do in the past. So what Shadow does is she picks up the back of her legs and unleashes her claws from the back of her legs, and and since like Quintelle's pinned on her, she uses the back of her claws to stab into Quintelle's stomach, and she kicks her off. That actually hurted Quintelle, but when Quintelle doesn't have enough time to get up, because Shadow runs along, pins her to the ground, and yells, saying that she didn't want to kill her because they were friends. She said that she wanted Quintelle to realize that she could be better than this. Quintelle, on the other hand, said that it was never going to work that way. It was either to kill her or have nothing. So Shadow, just as Quintelle was about to kill Shadow, but Shadow kills her. Shadow rips out her throat, and after seeing Quintelle die, she's a little horrified at what she done. Like she's slowly getting crazy because she realizes that she just killed her best friend, and that was really, devastating. It was sad. On the other hand, Quintelle, as a ghost, she spies on Shadow, and from now on, all she does is she spies on Shadow, and she, like, every time Shadow's alone, Quintelle would just pop up out of nowhere and kind of traumatize Shadow a lot. Because Shadow actually regrets killing Quintelle, but Quintelle finds a way to scare her by always trying to traumatize her whenever she sees her as a ghost. When Shadow dies, Quintelle actually takes the opportunity to watch her death, and after Shadow dies, Quintelle and Shadow meet as ghosts, and the two of them discuss about how they missed each other. Well, Shadow said that, but Quintelle was actually disgusted. The two then began to grow hate for each other, even though Quintelle's kind of like a yandere. Now that you think about it, like she hates Quintelle. No, she hates Shadow, but she loves her. So it's kind of complicated. So yeah, in the rest of the story, she trains Willow. She convinces Willow that Mysterio was bad, and Willow even tries to convince Willow that she should kill Mysterio and get it over with. So yeah, a bunch of stuff happened, but yeah, to make the video shorter, that is the new way she died. Instead of Quintelle being killed by Bramble and getting revenge on Maple, she instead dies by her own best friend, Shadow.